John Steinbeck, of Mice and Men, the play. Embark on an emotional journey through Of Mice and Men, the play by John Steinbeck, exploring the power of dreams, camaraderie, and human nature. In this summary, you'll delve into the lives of two nomadic ranch workers, the quick-witted George Milton and the childlike Lenny Small. Together, they navigate their way through tough times by clinging on to their ultimate dream, to own a piece of land and live off the fat of the lawn. Despite the darkness that often looms over their world, the complex relationship between George and Lenny continues to sparkle with moments of comfort and understanding. Among the obstacles they face are the loneliness and insecurities of fellow ranch workers, and the dangerous allure of Curley's flirtatious wife.
The dreams of migrant workers. Two migrant workers, George and Lenny, are on a job hunt in California. George is small and swift, while Lenny is a massive and slow-witted man. Lenny has a fascination with small animals, which George thinks is foolish. Their shared dream is to save enough money to buy their ranch with various animals, and most importantly, rabbits. Despite Lenny's unintentional missteps getting them into trouble, George is protective of him and envisions a better future for them. Trouble brewing. At their new ranch job, George and Lenny meet their suspicious boss, confront a violent son, and receive a warning about Curley's flirtatious wife. The trustworthy appearance of Slim contrasts with that of a foul-mouthed Carlson, who suggests shooting Candy's old dog. George and Lenny's new boss responds with suspicion when the latter refuses to speak. Moreover, Curley, the boss's aggressive son, picks fights with bigger men that put Lenny at risk. The old-timer, Candy, warns the friends to keep away from Curley and shares that his behavior has worsened since marrying a flirtatious woman. Sensing trouble, George advises Lenny to avoid Curley's wife. Later on, Slim, a horse handler, arrives and contrasts with a crude man named Carlson, who suggests putting down Candy's dog. This summary highlights the main characters and their relationships, emphasizing the potential for trouble brewing on the ranch. The dynamic between the boss and his son, the gossip about Curley's wife, and the decision regarding the old dog all raise the stakes for George and Lenny. A troubled friendship. Lenny and George's bond is explored, and George recounts their shared past, including a traumatic incident. Lenny and George's friendship is at the heart of this story, as their unlikely pairing raises questions from those around them. When Lenny becomes enamored with a litter of puppies, George understands his friend's desires and asks for another to be given to him. However, their closeness is fraught with challenges due to Lenny's strength combined with his innocence. In the past, Lenny's lack of understanding of his own physical power caused serious problems, such as being accused of rape. George admits that initially, he had mocked Lenny's naivety, but now he feels a sense of responsibility towards him. Regardless, Lenny's tendency to get in trouble remains a challenge that they must both face. Overall, the book explores themes of friendship, loyalty, and the challenges of caring for someone who is fundamentally different from oneself. Through George's reflections on their shared past, the reader gains a deeper insight into the bond between these two complex characters. The power of dreams. In John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, the dreams of three men collide with the cruel reality of their circumstances. The novella centers on George and Lenny, two migrant workers who dream of owning a small farm one day. Candy, an old swamper, joins their endeavor with an offer to finance their shared dream. However, their plans are derailed when Curley, the boss's son, enters the scene in a jealous rage. He attacks and provokes Lenny, a gentle giant with a childlike mind, sparking a fight that results in Curley's hand being crushed. Slim orders Curley to lie about getting his hand caught in a machine, saving the group from trouble. The novel examines the complexities of the human experience and the power of dreams against a backdrop of poverty and despair. A unique friendship. The crippled black stable hand, Crooks, meets Lenny, offering a rare opportunity for a kindred spirit. Crooks realizes that Lenny is not a threat, and they bond over their shared loneliness. The conversation takes an interesting turn when Crooks questions Lenny about their future if George were to die unexpectedly. Lenny doesn't comprehend the gravity of the situation, leading to Crooks revealing his sense of bitterness and isolation as the only black man on the ranch. But when Candy arrives with news of their farm, Crooks offers to join them in exchange for room and board. Curley's wife, a dangerous enigma. Curley's wife enters the room, and the men are uneasy around her combative energy. Lenny, however, is fascinated by her. She complains bitterly about her life and hints at the possibility of becoming a movie star. The men reveal that Curley's hand was injured, but she remains aggressive and mocks them. Candy proudly announces that they will soon have their own farm, and the girl scoffs at their idealism. She notices Lenny's bruises and threatens him. Crooks threatens to tell the boss about her visits, and she taunts him with her power to harm black men without lifting a finger. After she leaves, Crooks withdraws his offer to work on their farm. Tragic ignorance. Lenny, overwhelmed with anxiety and sadness, accidentally kills Curley's wife while petting her hair. The dream of owning a farm dies with the tragedy, leaving George hopeless. Despite the lack of malice in Lenny's actions, he still suffered the consequences of ignorance. George's heartbreaking decision. George is faced with a difficult decision after Lenny accidentally kills Curley's wife. Knowing that they will never attain their dream of owning their own farm, and that Lenny's mental disability will continuously put them at risk, George decides to shoot Lenny himself. George and Lenny had always dreamed of owning their own farm and living a life with no worries. However, after an incident where Lenny, who is mentally disabled, accidentally kills Curley's wife, their dream is shattered. All the men, except Lenny, know that he is at fault, and Curley vows to seek revenge. Carlson accuses Lenny of stealing his gun and Curley sees this as another reason to shoot him. While all this is happening, Lenny sits by the riverbank blaming himself for what he did wrong. He sees visions of his Aunt Clara and a giant rabbit blaming him for his mistakes. Suddenly, George appears and tells Lenny that he is not mad at him, he never was. George realizes that he has to make a difficult decision, he can't risk Lenny's safety again, and he knows that there is no future for them. He decides to shoot Lenny himself. Slim, who understands the situation, reassures George that he had no other choice and helps him cover up what happened. George and Slim go to have a drink, leaving behind the tragedy that has ended their dream.
The conclusion of Eye of Mice and Men, the play, sees George and Lenny's dream of owning their own farm crumbling after Lenny accidentally kills Curley's wife. Despite Lenny's intentions never being malicious, his strength, combined with his naivete, leads to unfortunate consequences. In the end, George is left to make a heartbreaking decision that alters the course of their lives. Through this compelling book summary, you will explore the value of companionship and the harsh reality of the American dream, while contemplating the significance of life's choices and their impact on our destiny. Ultimately, the story unveils the inherent human need for connection, hope, and a sense of belonging,